Welcome to the 24K Life Podcast, the place where your journey to golden life begins. I'm your host, Derick Gant, the financial advisor, high performance coach, and your mentor to achieving the extraordinary. You know, the only difference between ordinary and extra is that little bit. Every week, we dive into strategies, techniques, and tools that will help you become extraordinary and help you to live a life that you choose, not to force upon you. Today, we have a special guest. I made special arrangements for her because she is incredible. I'm just telling you up front, she's incredible. So I hope that you're ready. If you're driving, if you're sitting still, you know what? If you're driving, try to go back and take some notes because she's going to share some things with us that I promise you have never heard before on the 24K Life Podcast. We have Gao Motsemme, and it's not really the G. She's going to tell us how to properly pronounce it. I practiced it with her, but I just didn't get it. So I don't want to mess it up. Tell us how to exactly pronounce your name.
It's coming from the throat, so it's.
You told me that, not how. It comes out like how, but how.
Yeah.
All right, but listen, she is a certified change management expert. And for the past 7 years, she has been helping people to rebuild, renew, reinvent not only their confidence, but their lives so that they can live that 24K life. We're going to find out what that really means. I have never heard of a certified change management expert. So tell us what that truly means.
Thanks for having me. First thing when I start, I love to start by greetings. Greetings are very important, and especially when you're talking about the 24K life. And I do greetings using my native language, and that is Dumelang. Dumelang lokai. And indirect translation, Dumelang is agree.
Okay.
Lokai is where are you locate yourself. And I remember when we started, you said wherever that you are, make sure you are not driving, be seated. And as we are here in 24K Life, the question that I want to ask you today is, how are you showing up? What is your intention every time when you show up? And when I'm asking this question, especially with the locate yourself, it's bring all your attention here. And today, choose not only to listen from the mind, but more through your body. What are the sensations that are coming through? What are you feeling with every single word? Let go of what you already know from the mind and allow your body to interpret what is coming through for you.
I'm sorry. I told you all. She's already spitting out nuggets. She said hello and just taught us all a lesson. How are we showing up? I'm sorry. I get excited. How are we showing up? Let go of what you've already learned and translate that into how you're feeling. This is going to be amazing. I love it. I told you I was going to love this. So tell us, what is an expert change management person?
Actually, for me, when I want to speak about change management, it's the journey, the initiations that I went through life that initiated me into this change management. But on the other hand, with just the curiosity, I went ahead and certified in change management, but I'm not doing it the way change management teaches us. It was for me to get the knowledge from the curiosity of what is it that I know from what I've acquired through my life and the gifts that I also received from my ancestors. And how does this work, especially when it comes to the organization and all that. And the only thing that I found is it's the same thing, whether you're talking about change management in your life or in the organization, because everything is led by human. We are living a relational life. So this is why showing up is very important. Who are we being? Because everything is relational, whether it's on sales, whether it's romantic, whether it's as a leader in an organization. Who we are is what is projected back to us by life. We may look outside of us and say somebody's doing something to us, but we are the one who has the control. We have the remote. We get to choose.
Yes, amen to that. When we met briefly, you were talking about I want to say the power of our names. And is that correct? Or was it where we're from. I couldn't remember which one it was, but I thought you said the power of our names.
Absolutely. For instance, when you're talking about change management, or change just in life, the question that starts with how are we showing up? The question that starts is, who are we? You know, we are born into the lineages that we are born into, and there are certain imprints that we are born into, which relates to the relationship blueprint, wealth blueprint, health blueprint, spiritual blueprint. These are the things that we are born into. And when we are born into this old creation that we we inherit, there are names that we are even given, and there are names, actually, when you're talking about the same name, that's the name that we inherit from our parents, and they inherited, and all that. And all this carries certain frequency. So our name is very important, but the question is, what frequency are you carrying with the name? There are certain times when I connected with someone, and the moment I went to the name, there's a lot of things that come through. Sometimes it's just disgust, you know, and this is the name, especially when you're talking about whether you are applying for a job, whether you are applying for a loan, whether you want to be paid, what are you using? You know, whether you go to school and write an exam, it's your name that is like in the forefront, that people get to actually say before they even get to meet you even, you know. So how we feel about our name, and what have we inherited that our name carries, is vital.
So how do we know or feel the frequency of our name?
It first starts with us, as an individual. Before I even go to the ancestral part, it starts with our connection to our name. When we connect to it, how do we feel? When somebody pronounces your name, or actually even murders it, how do you feel about it? Does it say something to you? Do you feel a certain way about it? Is there certain events that happened even in your life where whenever your name was called, especially your name may be shortened, and when your name is shortened, you will okay, like you know that, okay, that's love, that's just how they're calling me when things are great. But when you are called in full, your name is called in full, you know that, oh shit, what have I done wrong?
Yeah, you know, in our lives, you know, and I say our lives in America, in our little black family lives, when your mother calls you by your full name, including your middle name, ooh, you're right. It's like, oh shit, what did I do? Because something's coming. That is interesting. But now you know that the sweetest sound to 95 of all people is their name, and so most people, I would assume, if that's the sweetest sound, they love their name, and so when you think about frequency, it's almost like when you hear it, do you light up, or do you just kind of move, or do you not like your name? So it starts with that frequency. And I don't want to spend too much time on this because you have too much juice to focus on this one topic. But I see what you're saying. What about like the history of your name? You know, like most Black Americans or African Americans, you know, we don't even really know what our true last names are.
And it's quite interesting, because before you even got there, what came through, this is why I say be in the body and see and feel what is coming through. Before you went there, the energy took me directly to the navel.
Okay, is that good?
And it takes back to the inner child, to how we were born. Like when you talk about a child, before you are separated from your mother, you connect through the umbilical cord, and then it's severed, right, for you to separate. But then even if it's cut, and then you are disconnected from your mother, but whatever that you took in while you are still there in the womb, you still the imprints that you carry. And that means it's also the navel, the umbilical cord. It's also somehow how these imprints are being carried over. You know, like you mentioned, that you don't even know what the name is, and the truth of it is that the imprints are alive in your body. Because sometimes people change their names just because they want to get rid of that history. But does it really get rid of the history? No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Right.
It's just a name, but the disconnection, actually, what I realized with the people who just like disconnect and even call themselves something else, it creates, I would say, not a strong foundation, a very weak foundation. This is why people often, they don't feel safe in their body, because they don't have a strong foundation. You are disconnected from your ancestral lineages. And still, like you said, most people, especially Black people in America, they don't know their heritage. They're disconnected from that. So it causes a sense of not feeling safe, the insecurity, and whatever that you get to create, it's like you're just floating around. You don't know who you are, because of that. And there is a way of connecting to that, even if it's not physical, but is the embracing of that and the willing to know however that is going to present that in your life. But it's more connecting to your roots, just through the acceptance of that, and also even being intentional about you embracing the energetics that comes with your ancestral lineage, and also feeling into what is it that makes you even uncomfortable about those roots. Because at times you look at it and you realize that there's a lot of things that happen, one of them being slavery. Because even when you're talking about the generational patterns that we inherit, it's not only about our mother and father, like what happened between them. And the interesting part, I always say this is like a beautiful mess, is that there is our mother and a father, and of course you are made from these two people. But on the other hand, we cannot dismiss the fact that where there was sexual interaction with other people, they also kind of like messed the whole DNA. That enmeshment that happened when we're having sex with someone. There is a meeting and a connection with like the energy at a different level, where everybody carries the part of the people that they were intimate with. And there are also political, religious, medical wounds that are caused by all that. And just because of one of our ancestors having gone through that, these are the wounds that are also passed on. So they add into the whole mother wound and father wound that we adopt. So it's a lot in there, but our life tells a story, because what we don't heal, we repeat.
Wow, that's deep. That's true. So why do they call you the embodiment queen? That's what I want to know.
The embodiment queen. Some call me a visionary doula. Just the fact of my gift, I'm able to tell what is going into the body, what is going on within the body. I normally communicate with the body. We can have a conversation at a mind level, and I can hear you, but who else or what else is showing up? So I allow the body to communicate to me. If it takes me to the inner child, if it takes me to the ancestors, that's what needs attention, besides what we think we know. So the embodiment queen came through because I was born knowing. I was born with the here I am. And with this here I am, not everybody accept a child who is so bright and opinionated, especially me coming from a very traditional African family. So my mother always had a problem with me just being me. It was kind of like, all the time compared to my siblings, you're not like my other children. And that somehow along the way made me kind of like doubt myself, in the sense of, is it okay for me to be myself? But then I went through life, which also brought me back to my body, where first thing, even when it comes to my gifts, I was told, go back to your roots, that is to my ancestors. And then I came through the body, then I realized, oh, then I can receive more of the codes. I love that you talk about codes a lot, of the codes that my soul is here to birth. So I remembered that I'm here, I'm the queen, and it doesn't depend on anything, what has happened through life, or what I have or what I don't have. The queen is the queen, and I believe the king is the king. So we get to be who we are in truth. So this is how this name came about.
So how old were you when you had this feeling that I am, and then I am queen, and that I know and I feel free to speak, especially when it comes to us dealing with parents? Because my parents didn't tolerate a whole lot of, what they used to call lip talk. So how old were you when you really felt like, or you can recall you felt like this?
That's a good question, because that was like the banter between me and my mom. As far as I remember our relationship, it was like this back and forth of challenging who I'm being, and also me challenging what she thinks of me. And I still remember, probably I was around 8 or 9. It was more like a cheeky response, and I realized later that this was like this was gold, because when you say that, I was like, I can't be like your other children because I'm how, you know, and that's just who I am. That's why my name is even different. And I remember she laughed, but the laughter of,
Did she
I don't know.
laugh? I love it. I can't be like your other kids. I'm how. That is so. Go
The
ahead.
laughter of, I don't know what to do with you, like that. I don't know what to do with this
She
child.
can't beat it out of you. She can't, so what does she do? What does a parent do with that? That is a great
And
point.
talking about that, even especially the beating part, like when we're young, they would go and cut, I would say, grass, because that's what we're using to thatching houses, and like that's what we used.
Mhm.
The roof that is made out of grass. So they would go because they were older. Like the older people would go. So the other time I just cried, I wanted to go with, and they allowed me to go. And then in the afternoon, after we came back, they were like, "Okay, fine, we're tired, let's just sleep." But after sleeping, we're gonna go. And they decided to go without me. So I woke up from my sleep, and everybody's gone, and there were lions, because it was at the kettle pools. There were lions around. So I just woke up, wore my shoes, and I kept running. I followed the footsteps. I went over, and when I got where they were, like deep in the forest, they were done carrying everything. So there I am showing up. Why did you leave me? Why did you leave me? And and by then she just went to the tree to get a big stick. Like, I'm tired of this child, because it was fear at the same time.
Yes, of
There are
course.
lions
Of course.
around, and what would I tell even your father if at all you are eaten by the lions or something like that? And when she held this stick, the women who were around, they just say, don't beat her, And to make matters worse, even I think with me, what they thought it was the reason is because I was named after my father's sister. So some elders, they perceive me as an elder already because of the name that I held. So
Oh,
so there was that. So the women who were around were just like, no, don't beat our grandmother, just let her be, that kind of thing. And that was like something that saved me at that moment. But I was that kind of
I
child.
love it. What a great story. So I have a different question for you. It feeds off what you just said, but so you were born with this knowing, as you call it, and that is a perfect way to identify it. But most people, and we're not even talking about kids, we're talking about adults, they have no knowing. Like, I know I was put here to help people free themselves, or to help them free themselves from financial distress, financial slavery, financial shackles. You know what you're here for, but a lot of people don't know. And the question is kind of loaded because you were born this way. I was honestly born this way. So it's very hard for me to help other people come into their knowing. But that's not my gift. It sounds like that's your gift. How do you help people come into their knowing when they have to work at it? You didn't. It's just who you were. How do you help people come into their knowing? Because that is, if people could do that, if they could be confident, and in my introduction of you, you help people, rebuild and revitalize their confidence. How does that work in general? I know you can't tell us specifically, but in general.
For you to know what you know and what your soul is here to give birth to, you get to be yourself. But we are, like, from the culture, society, and families that we are born in, we are always programmed and conditioned to believe a certain way. I'll give you an example when it comes to especially my gift. I always knew about this gift since I was a child. By then, I was more led by my dreams. And often when I
Mhm.
showed up and shared what was happening, my parents would tell me, "Oh my God, you need to go to church. Otherwise, you're gonna end up being trust me. Otherwise, you're gonna end up being a traditional doctor. Don't just go to church, and you have to start early and all that." And this was coming from fear, because at the same time, despite what they were saying, I saw people who were going to church, but at the same time, there was also a lot of fear of the darkness. And another thing is also our personality. I believe who we are our gift and what we are here to express is in alignment with our personality. We chose who we being based on who we are here to be and what we are here to share with the world. And when you grow up being told who you are being is wrong, we disconnect from our truth, because already we are being told this is right, this is wrong, and then we doubt the truth that is within us. I always talk about the mother wound and the father wound, especially the mother wound. When you are raised by a mother who does not accept who you are, who does not accept your truth, it makes you doubt your truth and it disconnects you from your truth. So you go through life more wanting to approval from other people, and instead of trusting what is coming through for you, you kind of like still looking outside to say, what do you say, mom? Are you okay with this? This approval seeking becomes a wound that is takes you out of your body, out of your truth, to look outside of you. So if we were taught to connect to ourselves, which still comes with the body, because everything is within us. So we are taught, especially even when you look at the educational system, go to school and unlearn whatever that you were born knowing and buy into whatever that is being what you are being told, and don't listen to what is within us. We are told to look for profession and everything out there and to deny the truth that is within us. If we were taught to listen to what is within, to connect to that intuition that is within us and follow our own intuition, our own guidance, no one will doubt themselves. But this is something that is being taught at kindergarten.
But how do you guide people along that path? I mean, because I'm assuming you do coaching, you work with people one-on-one.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it's more like, for instance, when I meet with somebody, we get to connect. We can have a conversation as if we're having a conversation. At times, it's not even about that happening. It can be in a chat when somebody's chatting with me, and immediately I'm just asking, what is this pain that is just coming through? So, like emotional, mental, physical, there is all this pain that is coming through. But we can just say, okay, fine, it's just a pain, But that pain, it's saying something. At the level that you are disconnected, because first thing, it's something that is just there, and then it's an emotion, and when it manifests itself in the physical body, it shows that you have ignored that for a long time. This is why I love the body a lot, because the body is always talking to us, and so is our emotions. But at times, especially even when you look at the self-development and all that, we chase positivity, which I call toxic positivity, and we don't allow ourselves to feel. So I connect with the body basically, and the body will share with me what needs the most attention. As in, what is it that when it's attended to, it will shift a lot in different areas of somebody's life. So that is what I follow. I can still have an idea, like I have an idea of this is what I'm gonna do. But if I get to have a conversation with someone and there is a problem with the heart, which is even risky of somebody having a heart attack or a stroke, I get to attend to that, and then anything else can follow. So that is, I would say, that is the magic pill behind what I do. It's kind of like, this is my genius. I call myself a psychic surgeon, because a human MRI and psychic surgeon. Why is that? Because I get to scan the body and know what is happening within the body, and I get to remove that which is getting in the way of what somebody wants, or what needs to come through, because the thing is, here with goals, it's great to have goals, but the body will always tell us. If I say, how would you feel about having 100 million? The conscious mind will say, oh my God,
my body just tingled. I'm not even lying. I just got a tingle all over.
I love that. And exactly that, right? And for someone, immediately they'll feel like they're choking. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Yeah. So the body will always tell us whether we are in alignment with that goal that we are setting for ourselves, or it's like death. For some people, that means death. I'm going to die. It's not safe. And this is how the self-sabotage, procrastination come into play, because the body is not willing to play, because somehow it's either in your life or in your ancestral lineage, money meant death, because something happened when somebody had lots of money.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right, everybody, listen up. Listen clearly. If you want to know more, and I already want to know more, go to bit.ly, bit.ly / you're going to love this, Orgasmic Clarity. bit.ly Orgasmic Clarity, and you will get more and more and more. And hopefully you can tap in and connect so that you can continue to grow. Now, this is a perfect segue into my next question, which is you got to give up the juice. Orgasmic Clarity. Let's talk about it.
Of course. Who
Look at
doesn't
that
like an
smile. For
orgasm?
those of you that are driving, or working out and you're listening to the podcast, you should see this amazing queen smile that just came over her face. She is ready to spill the tea. Let's go. I'm ready.
I mean, who doesn't love an orgasm? We all do, right?
I knew it. I love it. Keep going.
So, orgasmic clarity, like, it takes us back to the sexual energy, which, when we go back to the root, we love sex, but we are ashamed of it. And sexual energy holds the same frequency as money. Without it, we're ashamed. With it, there's
Okay,
guilt.
hold on. I got to come back into the screen on this. Wait a minute. Sexual energy is on the same frequency as money. Is that what you said?
In the sense of we love it, but we're ashamed of it. Sex is something that.
Oh, okay. Okay, got you. I got you. Okay.
Absolutely. Because your sexual energy actually is the highest frequency. It's way more worthy than anything else that you may think of. If you are connected to it, you're connected to your purpose. You are connected to your creativity. You are connected to pleasure. So it's your doorway to what you really desire. This is why it's called the desire. You know, you cannot be intimate with anyone if you don't feel that pull, that horniness, that being turned on. Is that energy that is guiding you. Mm-hmm. And when we look at our purpose, still it has that energy. When you are connected to it, you feel that energy that is coming through. And when you are disconnected from this energy, this is why a lot of people create all sorts of things, addiction, depression, and all that. The disconnection from this energy is the disconnection from life. Our sexual energy is a life force energy that creates life. The question is, where do you redirect this energy and how do you use it? Do you think it's just an activity or you are connected to it on a deeper level? And I'm not talking sex as in like the sex activity, because often when I talk about the sexual energy, people will say, oh, I'm in a relationship, so I'm good, you know. And here's the thing, when I'm talking about sexual energy, let's go back to the patriarchal wound. The patriarchal wound made men powerless by shutting off their heart. Men were groomed never to feel their emotions. It's weak or some shit like that.
So the patriarchal wound is the same as the father wound.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it disconnected men from the heart, and it shuts the women's womb. Mm. And when you look at the heart and the womb, they work together. When your heart is open and your sexual energy it's fully active, flowing, fully connected to this energy, it's easy for you to bring in those inspiration and also give birth to that. I compare this energy, like when you talk about creating your desire, I compare to it to just making a child. Because in truth is you can't give birth to what you can't conceive. You get to feel it when you talk about your desire or your purpose. You get to feel it for you to be driven to take that inspired action and give birth to it. And even when you're talking about making a baby, you feel a pull towards somebody else. And then there is that penetration that happens and you receive something, especially when you're talking about women. Our genitals are inside. Somebody has to go within for them to leave that seed, right? And you're going to nurture this for 9 months and you give birth to it. And here's the thing, when you give birth, you go through those labor pains for you to give birth to this child. But on the other hand, despite the pain, you know what is yet to come out of you. So when you look at life, I always say, let's make love to life, right? So when you are connected to this energy, you've got no fear of sharing the love, of sharing that moment. Even when you're talking about the eye connection, just connecting with somebody and just looking in their eyes, there is a frequency that we are transmitting even in that moment. But because of the fear of everything being sexual activity, we are afraid of having that eye contact with somebody because we don't trust ourselves to receive this connection without us being either weak or anything. This is why the patriarchal wound came through, because when you talk about the toxic masculine, it doesn't have the capacity to fully relate with a woman who's embodying this. And here's another thing again, even when you talk about the erotic capital, right? When you're talking about this energy, that is because that's erotic capital. Men, it's comfortable for men to use this energy, and there is no shaming and all that. For women, it's even hard because even as women, for women who embody this, exude this energy naturally, they don't only face men wanting to just sleep with them for the sake of the energy that they exude, because it's also a healing energy, right? So men want, if somebody embodies and exudes this energy, men want to be in that. They want to heal in it. So if you're not using it to heal yourself, you're gonna attract toxic partners so that they can heal in it, right? And I'm not saying only women has it, even men has it,
Right.
right? Yeah. So women, we have a tendency of turning against other women who exude this energy naturally because they threaten us who are not embodying of it. I had another woman actually just attack one of my posts and say, what about us who men do not look at twice? And I felt her pain, but here's what she continued saying: there are some of us who value our intelligence and are not using our genitals. There's some ways that, but more downgrading the women who exude this energy.
Right.
And my response to her was, that's exactly validating what I'm saying, because you believe for you to have a connection to this energy, it's only if men are interested in you.
Right.
But it's not only that. And many women at times have this question of, I wonder what that man saw in her. At times it's not about the physical beauty, it's who she is being, regardless of the whatever that we're conditioned to believe beauty is. When a woman has this energy, when she walks, there is a part of you that wants to pay attention, and just there is the attractiveness that just comes, the captivation that comes with somebody who embodies this. And so is a man, right? And a man who, there is just that somebody who wants to, you want to listen to this person, but you don't know why. You don't know why. There is somebody who is embodying this energy, and you may wonder, there is something about this person. It's not like he's cute, but he's attractive, or she's attractive because of this energy with somebody who embodies it. It attracts to her what she wants. But at the same time, when you are not fully embodied and in your power, you may think that, oh, the men just love me or women just love me, and just allow everybody to come. And like I said, some will come and they want to heal from this energy, and some will come and they are bringing certain things. I've worked with people who, before we connected, like kind of like everything was fine financially and everything, and then they meet somebody, they are intimate, and then after that everything just starts spiraling down. It's kind of like, what the heck happened here? The question is, what did you receive? Because when you're talking about orgasm, if you experience orgasm, there is a part of you, there is that temporary death that happens, like, what the heck happened? Right?
Right.
What the heck? Like, you lose yourself in that moment when it's happening, right? And it's, you and I always say, when you talk about intimacy, intimacy loves these four things, which is being honest, being open, trusting, and vulnerable. And when you are having that orgasm, is the moment where you are vulnerable and you're gonna receive everything, because there's nothing to protect, to defend, and all that. And even for you to get to that orgasm that I'm talking about, not just I'm coming shit, I mean serious orgasm that gives you that temporary death. You get to be
Right.
with somebody who can hold that space for you, who you don't feel you get to be defensive or anything. You are just open. And there is also, especially for if it's two embodied whole people, there is that deeper spiritual thing that happens where you don't even have to say words of I want you to touch me here, but it just happens without words being said. You know when to slow down, you know when to speed up. It's just magic that happens without a word being said. So
Right.
this is the question here, to say, when you are being intimate with somebody, how trusting are you? How open are you to even trust that this person will hold space for you? Because even when you're talking about, there is that mind orgasm, there is heart orgasm, and there is that genital orgasm. And the
Mhm.
heart orgasm can happen that, especially if there is certain emotions that have not been dealt with. And when
Right.
you are with somebody who can hold space and see your beauty and you just let go. And the moment when you're supposed to be having that orgasm, you're going to have that orgasm, but it's going to come with lots of tears.
Yeah. That was awesome. But it leads to another question that I think is important, and you can share. If you think it's important, but I'm pretty sure we're on the same page here because we got that orgasmic podcast chemistry
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never said that before. Um, don't you? Isn't it true that in order to experience that open, honest, trusting vulnerability to get to that orgasmic clarity with someone else, that you have to master your self-love? And I think that's where a lot of people, if you can't be open, honest, trusting, and vulnerable with yourself, then I really don't think it's ultimately possible in totality, because you're talking about more than just a sexual orgasm. You're talking about a life orgasm, people holding space for you. And you're also talking about the intimacy and the sex. And here's the other thing. I had a deep conversation with my partner not too long ago about sex and intimacy is two different things. And so, or they can be the same, but they're two different things. And we had a big conversation about it because I was like, look, I need more sex. And she's like, oh, we're intimate. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But but I need more sex. So we talked about it. And I was like, don't play with words. We know, we have she goes, our intimate life is amazing. And I said, I don't disagree with you at all. It is. I need more of this. And so she's like, okay, I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree. We're both older, so we're kind of figuring out what's going on with our bodies. And so we had one of the best conversations we've ever had. And the reason why it was so amazing was because I was able to share my truth, but then I was able to hold space for her truth. And then I was like, okay, well, let me stop pressing, because it's something totally different than, because guys, we take that stuff personally, right? Like, oh, you
Yeah.
don't want me? Like, okay, what's going on here? You don't want me? And so when you hold space for someone and they're able to share their truth, you figure out that, oh, there's other stuff going on. It could be physical, it could be other family stuff, it could be, other personal problems. But you're right. Back to my point and my question, how do people that don't love themselves to the point to where they're completely open, honest, trusting, and vulnerable start to walk down that path?
There's a lot that you said, and I love all of it.
I don't
And
think I've
one
ever
thing,
shared that much anywhere, anytime in public.
meant to talk about that, but I have not. And you just picked up on that and continued, because people love you at the level that you can love yourself. We know that. And even when it comes to pleasure, for you to give pleasure, you get to know pleasure. This is why I emphasize the importance of an individual connection with this energy. You get to connect with it yourself. You get to know what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you want to try, those fantasies that you have, for you to even be able to share what you want with your partner. I love that you were able to have this conversation with your partner, because communication is one of the reasons why relationships fail, marriages fail. And now, when it comes to communication about sex, it's even harder. So, first thing, you get to work on yourself, especially when you talk about the sexual energy. There is a lot of shame. And when it comes to even your desires in life, creating those desires, giving birth to those desires, there is still shame, because your desire, as in your soul desires, they are connected to this energy. So how you feel about the sexual energy is also something that is going to limit you in connecting to your purpose, to the wealth that you desire. That shame is still going to spread into other areas, to the true relationship that you desire and how you want to be held. So you definitely need to work on yourself, love yourself, and embrace all of you, integrating all aspects. Because of course, we jumped ship and spoke about the sexual energy. But here's the thing. Often when I connect with people, before I even get to the sexual energy, what comes through is the inner child. That's the aspect that comes through, crying, showing a lot of wounds that happen, whether it's in this lifetime or other lifetimes. I've had, even for myself, where the inner child just came through and just asked me, do you want to know why I'm angry? I had my inner child come through and ask me that question. And I was
Really?
like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I want to know, And I assumed, because my father was an angry person, so I thought I just inherited all this anger and all that happened that I didn't process. And guess what? That was like 7, 8 years ago. And that's the question, and that was it. And then while I was, just before I slept, I kind of like went into a trance. And this inner child took me to a lifetime where she was molested by her father. And it's flipping crazy, because the imprints in my body, it was like it's happening in this lifetime. That's how much trauma I was holding in my body, and I didn't even know. I didn't know. So it's not only about what is it that you experience, it's what is the unconscious things that you don't know that your inner child know. The reason why your inner child may be sabotaging all that you want, So that's what happened to me. So we need to
connect. Are you saying that your inner child had an experience in a different lifetime?
Yeah.
Wow. And did you heal from it, or did the inner child heal from it, or just clarity?
All this that I'm doing right now, it happened after I healed that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be taking people through this process. I wouldn't be healing this.
Oh, see, most podcasters ask that question in the very beginning. They ask you, well, what? Because it's in your bio. They asked that at the beginning. I'm glad I didn't, because that makes it way more impactful. Wow.
And when I talk about the inner child as well, especially when you say, how can people connect to who they are, like the truth and what they're here to be? Your inner child holds the vision to your life purpose. And if your inner child doesn't feel safe, forget about that.
Yeah, I would say personally, we're going to do some one-on-one therapy here real quick. I would say without a doubt that my inner child just didn't feel seen, and I know that's crazy because, I'm 6'3", 200 and something pounds. But back then as a little kid, I was the middle child. I just didn't feel seen. And growing up, I never wanted parties. When I say growing up, I mean, even as a grown-ass man, I didn't want a 30th birthday party. My wife wanted to give me this big party. We ended up doing it because the wife always wins. But I never wanted parties because I felt like no one was ever going to show up. Like even now I do these big 24K life events, and sometimes it takes me a while to put the next one on because I'm like, who wants to hear that stuff? And so I know I'm constantly struggling with that concept. Or I shouldn't say constantly, but sometimes that inner conflict comes up about not being seen or worthy of other people's attention. What do you think about that?
Okay. Do you want me to be honest with you?
Yes, this is going out. This is so everybody can heal. Yes, be honest.
The first thing, even today, before we actually jumped on the call, the first thing that came through, but I'll give you grace for this because it's subtle. It's not like very strong as it will appear with other people. So I felt that energy of, I would say the wounded masculine, which is like that little boy. And again, for you, it's not something that really started with you. It's also ancestral. That's like the first thing that came through. So obviously there is something there. And I also mentioned even I can't remember exactly where we were at. And I said, well, I'm feeling this energy by the navel. Obviously, when that is coming through, there's like the inner child. And it's not only for you, because we are here, me and you. And also it's like I'm feeling into the energy of the people who are going to listen.
Right.
So definitely this is like for you and for your audience, this is like something that is coming through so strongly. So there is that.
I love it. I love it. So what do we do to work on it?
One thing that I like to make things easier. Obviously, this not feeling safe to be seen. There is definitely something that happened that triggered that feeling of it's not safe for you to be seen. And another thing is also, especially like you said, you're a middle child. And it's like the first one came and they got all the attention. And then the last born, obviously, if at all you're three, the last born always gets all the attention. So there is a part of you that feels like I'm just here, I'm invisible. And sometimes you can make yourself comfortable with it for whatever reason. At times it can also happen even when maybe there is a child who has special needs. And it's kind of like, I just want to make things easier for my parent that comes with that. But the truth is, when I talk to someone, what is it that you really, really wanted? What is that your inner child wanted here? And this is why when it comes to healing, we don't heal only for the sake of healing. We heal so that we can be parents to our inner children. What is it that your inner child wanted from its mother, from its father? And can you give that child? Can you give that to this child? And it also comes to you observing even the father figure in your life, because even when you talk about the father wound, it's not only the biological father, even though the biological father, especially if the biological father was absent, there is an abandonment wound that comes with that. And it's not only the absent, isn't like absent in your life. You can have both parents present or one of them present, but they are emotionally unavailable. Especially when you talk about the father figure. When, like I said, my father was an angry man. So men are known to be like angry and all that. Even when a child does something, I'm going to tell your father. And it's like, oh my God, I don't want to.
Yeah, my dad was amazing. He just was working all the time. So
I wanted to say that.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was working. And and I remember I always have the same memory when it comes to not feeling seen. I always have the same memory, so I know where it comes from. I know that like my dad, with my younger brother, he was like, oh shit, this is my last kid. I better play catch with them. I better do all the stuff because I ain't gonna get another shot. And he never did any of that with me. But I know my dad loved me, and I know my dad was out providing, and he worked hard. He was an amazing dude. But there's still like some space there. So like I know in my life, I flipped the script and I coached every one of my kids' sports. I took them to the art museum. I took them to the cherry orchard, the apple orchard. I helped them do their homework all the way up through college. So, I tried to be that guy because I wasn't. And I don't know. Like I don't feel like I have a hole because of this. I just know that sometimes it's there, and I know sometimes it's the reason why I don't want to do certain things, and usually I push through and do them anyway. But it's interesting. It's interesting that this is the way we operate. And the most interesting thing that you said to me, not today, but out of this, is just that it's not necessarily your life generation. It could be carried over from the past.
Absolutely. And that's the thing again, because at times when you talk about this wound, we assume it's either the parent being absent or something bad has to happen or something like that. But no, sometimes it can also be that, be that the parent was waking. And here's the thing for other people. When the parent was waking, you can also become a workaholic just because you still want to.
I did that too.
You also want to make your father proud. You learn from the kind of like, I'm just going to make my father proud. Yeah. And at times it's because the only time that you get that compliment and you feel seen was when you did something great. So you get to go there and grind and be like, hey, do you see? So I'm doing well. So it manifests like that. Or for some people, it can be the opposite, where it's kind of like they hate that because they feel like this is what took my parent away from me. So they don't like to work, they procrastinate and self-sabotage and all that. And I'll give you an example as well with me. I was a daddy's girl. My father loved me. He really did. But he died when I was 14, So besides that, he died when I was 14. He was also an alcoholic. Somehow I don't remember those memories because I was young, So being the alcoholic, that means there is disconnection that happened, that emotional disconnection that happened. So he couldn't give me that love that I needed as a girl child, but he knew how to take care of me in the sense of, if I want something, okay, you want this, I'm gonna, yeah, see what I can do and give you that. But when I look at my relationship, the traits of my relationship, it was the father wound that was manifesting itself through the toxic relationship that I found myself in, and especially even in attracting alcoholic partners, until this came to my awareness. I still remember I was in a meditation and I was going through divorce actually at that time. But the question that came through was, what part of you has a problem with this man's drinking? So me being spiritual and positive and all that, I was like, what kind of a question is that? We know that this is better. I'm more connected. I'm spiritual, and like the better than part. We have that. And at that moment when I was trying to reason with this, I just had a download, and it broke me open that all this time, no matter what I know from the beginning, but there was a part of me that was saying, I'm gonna help him heal, I'm gonna rescue him. This is what I call the approval seeker mask, the rescuer mask, and all that. We wear this because of the wounds that we carry from our parents. So I realized that all this part of me that kept on going to this relationship, I'm still trying to rescue my father, but he's long gone.
Right.
And I go to heal and give myself what my inner child wanted, especially my dad dying at 14. There is still also that abandonment wound that comes in, and I felt like there's a question of, what if he was alive? What would have happened? So there is all these questions that are not fulfilled, and it's kind of like I get to go somewhere to find this. But in truth is, we gotta come back to ourselves, because the relationship that we have with our mother and our father, it affects the masculine and the feminine energy within us. That is why some people are codependent. They don't feel whole because there is this wounded masculine or wounded feminine. And this is like huge. This is what causes the imbalance in people, individuality, and also in relationship, where you feel like I can't survive without this. Or actually, the way I interpret it is, for men who are not emotionally available, they are looking for a partner who is emotionally available.
Right.
And because when you look at the sexual energy, is that energy or that is connected to the abundance, that is connected to our purpose and all that. So for women, often they don't go and follow their passion. They sit back and they look for security from the man. So there is a codependency situation that is happening here. And at times, even when you're saying, I want to be married like my parents were, they were married for 50 years, for whatever years, the question is, what is it that they sacrificed? What is it that you knew, as in they allowed you to see, hear, and know? And what is that they didn't allow you to see, hear, and know? Which
Right.
are called those unspoken, unacknowledged energies, because it's not only about what we're saying, it's about who we are being. Sometimes you can say something and you can present yourself in a certain way, but no matter what you're saying is not coming through. I can't hear what you're saying because who you being is getting in the way. That's
Right.
how energetic operates. Yeah.
I love it. Perfect. 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 I love this. So just a couple quick last minute questions that might be completely off the radar range, but I'm looking at your setup and it's just, first of all, you're glowing. So you are the embodiment queen. You're just glowing. The whole podcast, if you're driving or exercising, or you're just not watching the YouTube version, you should go watch the YouTube version. And I'm not here to push my YouTube channel. I'm telling you, you should go see this chick. She's just fucking glowing. And she's been doing it from the first second that we jumped on. And I think that it speaks volumes for her truth, her authenticity, that she is the embodiment of what she's saying she is. She just is. You can see it. If you can't feel it through the frequency of the airwaves, I promise you, you'll see it when you look at the YouTube channel. I digress, though. My real question was, I'm looking at your surroundings, and you have this beautiful crystal, you have these amazing plants, and you have a few pictures. So that indicates to me that is part of keeping a high vibration in yourself. I'm assuming that's accurate. Is that accurate? And what does that crystal stand for?
Funny enough, as much as crystals are beautiful and they have that frequency, for me, the way I was introduced to crystals, they came through my dreams. I was busy digging them out. Until I started connecting with them. And it's quite interesting because even when you speak about the sexual energy, because the sexual energy, it's the Kundalini energy is connected to the snake energy. Right? When you look at the snake, when you look at that energy that goes through our spine, it's kind of like the two snakes that are dancing within us. And every time when I was digging these crystals, I'll see the snake and I start running. But that stopped the moment I integrated this energy and I fully embodied it. So yes, it's part of that, and also the connection to the earth. When you look at the resources that are on the earth, which is also who we are being, especially when you connect to that womb, or hara for men, that womb energy, or I call it the hara, the energetic womb. This is where life happens. This is where we get to create those desires. So it's the earth that we're connected to at all times. So it's for that purpose. Yeah.
I love it. I have live flowers around me. I usually have one in my thing right here. I don't know why I didn't put it in this morning. It's sitting in the sunlight. And I think it's so powerful to have those things around you and to have your environment represent your vibration. So I love it, and I think that's amazing. I want to thank you for being so open and so naked and so orgasmic on this podcast. And for those of you again that want to know more, you can go to bit.ly/Orgasmic Clarity to learn more, to have a discovery call, to sign up for some coaching or her information, because it is definitely powerful. So on our way out, is there anything that we haven't covered that you really think that we should cover?
What is coming to mind actually is just to share the importance of our emotions. Like I said, growing up, I grew up with a lot of anger, and as a girl child, what we often hear is, who are you going to find if you're just that angry? It's wrong for you as a girl to be angry. So I denied my emotions, and then I went through life transformational experiences where I was still trying to portray an aspect that I wasn't. And I received this message from Mother Ocean. And who doesn't love the ocean? And this was the question that she asked me. Everybody loves the ocean.
I love the ocean. And tell us the question. What did she ask you?
So she said, everybody loves the beach. People go to the beach and all that, and you'll think that they love the ocean, but they don't. They just love the surface, what looks good, but they don't like the darkness. They don't want to go deep. They're afraid of that. Mm-hmm. And you get to embrace all of you, be the ocean, and those who are meant to go deep with you will. Those who are meant to be in your life, they would love all your openness, your deepness, and your nakedness. But you get to allow the music to play, because when you look at emotions are the evidence of life. They guide you. When you are not in alignment, you will feel that discomfort, that discontent energy that is showing that you are not in alignment. But when you allow the emotions to come, it's just like a song, bass, tone, soprano, and all that. It just comes so strongly and then it passes because you are not holding it back. What makes it hard is when you're trying to control that. And for me, when you're talking about leadership is embodiment. Emotional intelligence is what we have used to learn intelligence from the mind so that we can try, study, and manipulate other people. But when you are fully embodied, it's about your presence. That's why I talk about the bedroom and the boardroom, because the level that you are able to be with your partner in the bedroom and take them to places that you've never been, that means you are attuned to what you want, what you need, and what your partner needs, and you are able to see the environment. And that's what leadership is all about.
I love it. Thank you so much. Hang on in the back room. Don't leave just yet. So I gained so much insights during this hour conversation, and it didn't seem like an hour, but Gao Motsemme just laid it all out for us. And I'm going to recap just a couple things that I felt were just incredible. She showed up and said, "How are you showing up?" That was in her greeting. How are you showing up? And what frequency are you emitting? You know, you're in your name and how you're showing up is all related to the frequency. And if you wonder why certain people aren't attracted to you, and we're not talking sexual attraction, we're just talking wanting to even spend time with you, you know, that has a lot to do with it. She also said, you know, she was led by her dreams. She was opened up and aware. She said it several times, and she even finished it in her last closing statement about the deepness of the ocean, being led by her dreams with the question from the Mother Ocean. She also mentioned that your gifts are in direct line with your personality. So what's your personality? Are you letting it out? Which hat are you wearing? Which mask are you wearing? Are you wearing an authentic, true mask? And I like the way she said it, because she didn't use the word authentic one time. And everybody in the universe is, you got to be authentic. You have to be authentic. You know what? Are you in line with your personality? Because that's where your gift lies. And if you're talking to Derick Gant on the 24K Life podcast, we're talking about your gift, your money, your value, your desires are all lined up with your personality. And you know, we believe that once you line that up and that you create that value, you share that value, everything else falls into place. So I want to finish up with inviting you to let's make love to our 24K life. Now, Hal said, let's make love to life. I'm going to say, let's make love to life, especially your 24K life. If you enjoyed this, please share it. There's so many people that need to touch this episode. There's so many people that need to see this episode, need to understand who they are so that they can love deeper, have orgasmic clarity in themselves and with someone else. And this can happen in the boardroom or the bedroom, just like she said. I'm Derick Gant. I want you to be your best, bring your best, leave nothing to chance. Hey, I told you we were going to.